just kind of getting set up here. We'll send out a tweet. Hopefully we don't have any spelling mistakes on stream. That would be embarrassing. Okay. Launching the Gatsby themes today live on stream. So that is what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so we've got a couple things left to button up here, but I think we'll be able to push it real quick here. So I was starting to convert my personal site over to this new theme, and I started that on stream. And I've taken a little bit further since then. So this is all using the existing theme right now. There's a little bit of stuff that I'd like to do with the text. Like these are actually hyperlinks, but since the color that I have set for the underline is the same color as the background, it's not really obvious that they're hyperlinks. So I'd like to hopefully get in some way to change the styling on that. So what we went with actually was, I didn't do this on stream, but we got most of the convention and configuration kind of stuff shown on screen, and this design tokens is the new piece, and we can use these within our theme UI file to basically target pieces of the UI to apply CSS to. So that's how I'm doing the background color changes right now. So this is Gatsby theme. So if we look here, I've got a Gatsby JS theme with the homepage, and then I set the primary color in both articles and the about section. Technically I could delete these, but I thought I might use them, so I left them in there for the moment. But that's how we do the coloring, and that way we have both this coloring on both light and dark mode. And actually this light mode, dark mode button was something that we added to. So the things that we want to button up, let's take a look. We have a couple tweaks that I was going through. So we added an order. So let's go ahead and commit that. Where are we with this? Git status. So we added a priority field on the markdown files, which we do need to document. Let's go ahead and do that right now. At least I think we need to document it. This would be in the homepage. Yep. So otherwise, so this engagements, they will, let's see, they're these pieces right here. So if we don't allow, or if we don't query with a sort, it's just going to sort on however the default way is, which in this case is probably not going to be something that we want. We want to have a little bit of control over what order these show up in. So that's what this order property does. Okay, so let's commit all that. And read me. So I've got a couple of these things that we need to commit. We'll probably merge this in, and then I've got another branch started where I started working on a little bit of the documentation stuff. I added an installation section, and then I did keywords in the within the package.json file. Alright, so add order property to engagements markdown. Okay, now, so these are some of the tweaks that I was doing, that I did off stream. You can see here that we've got this variant, and that's something that comes through with theme UI. I think that's only in theme UI. There's a couple libraries that compose theme UI. And they control various parts of this, but I think this is theme UI. It could very well be the one of the lower level packages, but so basically we declare a variant, and it will parse this dot notation string into a basically something that can walk the object tree for the theme UI file, and it will find that and basically spread that variable into the SX property. So if there is, I might have a situation where I have other things listed here with my variant last, so then the user can theoretically override anything that I put in there. I wonder if we have one that's showing. Okay, so like here we have a padding, and then we have a variant listed. So it works exactly like spreading the variable, where I can define a padding, but if somebody defines a padding within this object that is padding, it will overwrite the padding that I have defined here. And spreading would just be, so this is spreading a variable, and basically it takes that variable and which is likely going to be an object, and basically explodes it and drops all the properties on this object. Okay, so we added a bunch of Flux stuff. I see we added this order here. Color toggle. So it's just a bunch of cleanup kind of stuff. We're just gonna go ahead and stage the whole thing. It's not too different. So okay. So this is my beginning conversion. I've tweaked a few of this, so like here the engagements don't, they line up in the center of them. We've since tweaked that to where they all justify the top. So I think that's probably sufficient for now. Let's go see. Here, we'll push this. Oop. Wrong one. Git push. Okay, so I haven't pushed it. So most of my code merging, I will do that in GitHub itself. So I'll pull branches and such just through the terminal, but I like to do all my merging and such on GitHub. I think that is probably good enough. Okay. Yep, so we haven't committed anything to this yet. So we've got an empty pull request here basically. Here's the installation in README that I was talking about before. We will go ahead and get that going. So it's called README deps. So git checkout master git pull git checkout. No, I forgot it already. README deps. README deps. Okay. So this should have. We've got a lot of windows open here, so let's close some of these. Close. Okay, so we have added a couple things in this one. We added the keywords, and my fan is spinning up like crazy here. Let's see, power settings. course, I don't remember how to change the fan settings. Oh well. That will be one of those things that I change later, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So we added this keywords, and then we also updated the README to have this installation in there. We need to add a bunch of peer dependencies. So I've got a to-do list here on the side that I wrote down so I don't forget stuff. Because I am human and I forget things. So let's see. List of required packages. So I think all we really need is on this top one is the I think on these packages we only need that package listed as the installation. So here we might, like on this page, we only need to really see the installation for this piece because it's not directly dependent on anything other than the peer dependencies. Except for the layout, we do need to add that. So let's see, yarn workspace. No, actually, this is in there now. Add theme layout. I can't remember if we can actually do this here. And this is the search path. So we only want to add it in the packages. Actually this isn't going to work. Because we only want to add it in articles and homepage. So let's just go ahead and change directories to those. Oh, packages. Yarn add. Gatsby theme layout -peer. So this should show up in our peer dependencies right here. And then we also need to do it in the home page. And the peer dependency basically says that this, of course, I got it wrong. Syntax wrong. Let's look that up. I add these packages so seldom that. Sure. The peer dependency basically says we aren't going to rely on it directly, so the user needs to install it. Docs. CLI commits. And install. Oh, wait. Yarn add. Yarn add -- peer. So, did I spell something wrong? That's interesting. I mean, I think we're doing it right. yarn add dash dash peer. Oh. Yarn add package dash dash peer. Well, let's just try the other option. It's being difficult this morning. But a peer dependency basically says that we rely on it, but we're not going to. The user basically is going to manage this. Here we go. That's odd. And this is probably more common to do when you're working in a plugin environment, like Gatsby is. Because the user potentially could have this package installed in their main section already, and you get weird version conflicts if you don't allow them to manage it themselves. The downside is that they have to then manage a whole bunch of packages, but you know, it's trade-offs. So I think we do have I noticed the other day that we have a dev dependency of learner here. We don't actually need that in the examples. Not that it matters that much, but so we're just gonna go there, cd examples. Get that out of there. Okay, let's look at the list again. We did that. We did that. Now, so our list of dependencies. Make some of these folders small. So theme articles. Apparently it didn't remove it from there. That's annoying. Let's check. Oh, it isn't both of them. What the heck? What the heck? Run them cd packages, Gatsby theme, homepage, yarn remove. It is being difficult this morning. So our actual dependencies that we're pulling in, we're pulling in the isolated theme UI, which we're technically not using anymore, but ideally we would like to, so I'm just going to leave it in there. And that's sort of a rabbit hole that we can talk about later if anybody has any questions with that. The theme UI components is what all of these are using right now, and that will bring in the isolation for us as well. And this compile ex6 packages will compile the isolated theme UI components for us. Gatsby will do that automatically if you name the package beginning with Gatsby, but I didn't. Because theoretically you can use it outside of Gatsby. So now we have to deal with that. We might end up just completely dumping the isolation because it's kind of a rabbit hole. But for right now, that's good. So we need to re-add this into the go into the peer dependencies. I don't know why it's being so oh my gosh, what the heck? Maybe we just need to do it at the top level. I wonder if the yarn workspaces is giving it troubles. Okay, yarn learn add Gatsby theme. What are we in? Homepage right now? Homepage dash peer. And we want to do it in the packages slash Gatsby theme homepage. We want to add layout, and we want to put it in the Gatsby theme homepage. There we go. Yeah, that's odd. I don't know why I was doing it in the, or not doing it when we changed directory to it. So we also need to add it to articles. And it's there correctly. I'm just going to do this because I'm sick of fighting it. I'll just have it update them all. Okay, so what else do we need as a peer? Because theoretically these all are depending on a few other packages. Let's look at our example. So we've got a few things. Technically they're all depending on theme UI. And they're also depending on, so some of these are, so like theme UI is a package of which it has a peer dependency of emotion core and MDX, or excuse me, technically it's not in there, but it's listed in there, ones that they recommend installing. Gatsby plugin MDX relies on the MDX packages. So what we're going to do is we only really want to say we want the peer dependency on the main package, and the other packages will theoretically come in when the user installs those through the those installation guides. So we are currently dependent on Gatsby's source file system, I believe. So we're gonna start, we'll say yarn learn add that, and we'll say, I gotta assume that it'll work on anything 2.1 and above. Okay, I'm not quite assuming, but I've read the changelog, so I have a pretty good idea offhand of what it can support and what we've used. Theme UI. At 0.2. Let's double check and see what theme UI. Theme UI has added a couple things more recently, and it might be things that we rely on. So let's just look at their changelog real quick. So depending on how the repo does it, sometimes they put their changelogs in the releases. So if we would look at the releases, it looks like they're pretty much just the tags. And that likely means that they put it in a changelog file. So you can see here we went to theme UI changelog. Let's see what we've got going on. So we don't use components editor. We don't use any of those pieces. So we probably want to say prefers color scheme we do use indirectly. So I think I'm probably just going to say 2.46 and above. So the reason we aren't using the latest here is that the user might actually have these installed on their site if they're adding this to an existing site. So we don't want to lock them into, but we don't want to force them to have to upgrade their packages just to use ours. Theoretically, eventually, these, if we used the latest, they would not be the latest anymore, but we can pull back a few versions at least to give them some wiggle room. And let's see, what else do we need? We do need MDX. And that can be let's go ahead and look at the Gatsby MDX. Gatsby JS. See what their changelog looks like. So since I've looked at these before, I know they use a monorepo like we do. There's a packages directory and they have a list of all their packages. So in their packages folder, there should be a pack or plugin MDX, and they have their changelog in each of these. And the way they do their publishing, they do a lot of bumps of versions that doesn't actually change the code at all. So I think we probably want to just say 049. And we do expect to have Sharp installed because we're using image Sharp. And 2.3, so we'll go look at that one real quick. Gatsby plugin image II, right? Gatsby, oh, just Gatsby plugin Sharp, S Sharp. Changelog. So it looks like we've got a couple updates here. All right, come on, kitty. Oh, that's not sitting in front of the camera. So I feel like this is probably a good 2.2.31. 2.2.31. Let's just get those rocking. Peer, and then in the packages, think we just want to add them to Gatsby ones. So we'll do that. So, assuming I did that command right, it should go through and in each of those, so you can see what's running here. We've got too far up. Here we go. So it says, so we use that start character, and it's basically saying that anything that starts with Gatsby in the packages directory, we want to install stuff. And then here it says adding Gatsby source file system in 3 packages. So it's basically going to go through, and for each of these, it should add them, assuming that the command lets us do it. Okay, come on. Alright, so it looks like it just did 1, which is terribly unfortunate. So I think we're going to have to do it for each one of these. Yeah, that's bothersome. So it only did our first one. Okay, come on. And I'm going to go ahead and move this up because my face is covering this. Okay. Ignore the needy cat as best as you can. Hi, kitty. Okay, so now it's adding theme UI. I guess we'll just keep slowly deleting these. At least it's adding them in the peer dependencies. If you use yarn, the yarn command, it does let you add multiple at the same time. Apparently the learna command does not. And basically what we're calling yarn learna, and that's because we have learna added as a dependency, peer dependency in the root of our file. So that should have added plugin MDX for us. Yep. Okay. And sharp. So we've got all those added. Now, let's go back and look at our examples. Are we missing anything? So the MDX should come in through the other sharp theme UI. We do need the theme UI. And do we have remark images on there? No, we don't. So we need to do theme UI. Let's go ahead and take care of that one. Okay, cat. You can sit on my lap. So let's go ahead and look at the theme UI again. The changelog again, rather, but for theme UI rather instead. Theme. Was it a plugin again? Yep, plugin. Gatsby plugin. Ah, that is actually in the theme UI repo. GitHub. Oh my goodness, kitty. You don't get to walk on the desk. Okay, so this does not have a changelog on the in each packages folder. They just do a big one overall. So it looks like what we actually want to do then is just match the theme UI that we added. So we'll say the peer of 246 0 here 0.2.46. Okay. And images. I think that was the last one that we wanted to do. We do technically need transformer sharp as well, I believe. And I'm going to assume that they're probably on the same. Actually, that might not be a good assumption. Let's check that quick. Transformer sharp. Okay, so Bluebird, the other one is the Bluebird dependency already, so we'll say transformer sharp, we want it to be 2.2.0, I believe it was 2.2.20. 2.2.20. And then the images. Remark images. I think that's the last one. And I believe that's gonna be good enough. And we can always come back and add more later. And then that should finish off our I think that'll finish off all of our version or peer dependency stuff. So let's just double check and see what the remark image is set at. Do we actually use this? I guess we don't need to use this because it's just defined in our case, it's just part of the MDX config, I believe. Plug in MDX. So theoretically somebody doesn't have to have pictures on here, so we're gonna leave that one up. Which, now that I say that, probably means we don't need the sharp in there, but we potentially have some expectation that those node types will exist, so we will leave those in there for now. So let's go ahead and commit this, git commit add peer dependencies. Okay. Push that up. Now, this should be done. Hopefully we didn't break anything. We didn't. So what I have in here is just a GitHub action that runs a build, and that is sort of just the smoke test to make sure I didn't royally goof something up. So some basically should catch the theoretically obvious mistakes, like little syntax errors or whatnot. So we'll merge that in, and all we've got left is the installation and the README. So for that we can do git checkout master. We'll get the updated version of master, get checkout readme, get merge master, so this should pull in the master changes. And we do have a couple conflicts, and I assume those are likely in our yep. So accept current would give me the head, which is removed, which is what I want. Oh, do I have more? Oh, I gotta save it. Didn't save it from you. Okay. Get status. Get commit. So whenever I get stuck and I don't remember the command next, get status usually ends up telling you. So right here it tells you what you need to do to finish. Okay. Sorry about bumping the mic. The cat is being very needy. That's usually what she does though. We're fine with whatever it says there, so we'll just close that. There we go. So we'll push that and get that up. Now let's just double check to see that our readme came in correct. Looks like, I think we made some changes in articles for the engagements. The recording of this is going to be hilarious with a cat all over me. Okay, so it looks like we got the readme change that we did at the beginning of the stream in there. So I think that's all set. So this should be good to go. It's building for us. So we'll just let that run just to double check for us. We can close these. Let's consult my to-do list. I have added. We add descriptions to packages. Let's double check to make sure we have descriptions. So I should have added them here. Yep, Gatsby theme to construct pages for each of your articles. Probably good work on these descriptions. I'm happy to take criticism or suggestions on better descriptions. Gatsby theme to construct a homepage. Gatsby theme generally ingested by other themes to set navigation and default SEO. Spelling mistake here. Components that implement the isolated theme UI context and pragma. Eventually. Come on. Stay down. Oh, no, no. All right. So we have a quiet bunch this morning. Does anybody have New Year plans? We've got descriptions, list of required packages to install for each plugin. So I think what I'm going to do is I don't really want to add the peer dependencies list on the installation guide for each of them. I suppose I probably should, because that's what gets published on NPM, and people do not always look at the GitHub repo. Yes, cat. I do not give you enough attention, do I? So, since all of these should be basically the same, what we are going to do is add a section in here, install from npm and yarn. We also rely on peer dependencies of the following packages. Oop. Say one thing, type another. Consult the package installation guides for each. For potentially additional peer dependencies that require installation. So I think we'll just do this. Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, we'll type it out for him. So we'll say yarn add that. Now the irony of this is, I guess I probably could put Gatsby in a peer dependency in here too, but the versions for that are going to be much more involved to look at, so that might be something that's worth adding later if we do actually want to. But basically what I was going to say was the irony of this is I'm probably going to give this whole thing so the user can copy paste, and I'm probably going to have a typo in here somewhere. Okay, so yarn add, just skimming over to make sure we didn't have a typo anywhere. Nope. Okay, let's just go ahead and add this to all three of them, and I think that's going to be good for now for the peer dependency stuff. Layout and homepage and articles. Oh, readme. Except the layout does not need to install itself. There we go. Okay. Git commit. Add peer dependencies in readme. Okay. So I think that's probably it. There are some things that I want to do with the text, but we might not have quite enough time to take care of that. And I'd rather get this launched and out there for input. So the thing, we can start doing some of it maybe. So let's get this. We'll get checkout master. So this is running. It should be done pretty quick. We're gonna wait to merge that in before we check out a new branch. We're at about an hour right now. I expect we maybe have another half hour or so. I tend to stream until my daughter wakes up, and I would expect that she's probably waking up in about half hour, 45 minutes. So the issue that we were running into when we were converting it over on my personal site was that we don't have a way to change the color of the color of the underline in these headings. So we basically need a way to target the text that shows up in here, and that text is done by we have a text component and a heading component, and for the most part they should be using these, and it is pulling from the styles dot heading, but we only want to change color in certain sections, so we can't use so if you look at the example at our theme UI file or theme file, we've got a bunch of text properties here. This will apply to all the text, and we've got the styles, and this will by default apply to any of the markdown, but we also use it in our components too. And so that'll be setting like our font sizes and such. And if we change the color in here, it's going to change everywhere, which is not what we want. We want to, of course, I don't have this running. Go ahead and start that just so we have something to look at. So we want to have a way that we can change a color just in certain sections. So if we would do, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to just throw this on the, well, yeah, I suppose I can actually, I can copy these out of the, out of the README files. But basically we want a key where we can edit the text in a certain section. So this passed, so we're going to go ahead and merge this in. Gosh, that build is really drives my fan nuts, doesn't it? Okay, it's probably the sharp. Hopefully you can't hear my fan on the stream. Okay, so this isn't a post that I did. Yeah, not gonna worry about that right now. But we want to see if we can somehow allow somebody to change the text. So let's look at the home page first. In the landing, so you can see we have variants for the boxes. So this is strictly the MDX is going to be the only text here. The easy ones to modify will be this one, because right now it's actually just a component. The markdown ones we're going to have to pass in components, which I'm not quite sure what the best way to tackle that is going to be. Because it's using the React context, so we got to be careful that we don't do something too dynamic that will make it re-render every time. But here we have the heading, so we can actually say here, we'll make a new SX prop, and we will create a new variant. Articles heading. So that will allow us to edit the heading. And we want to we're not really interested in allowing them to change the heading levels. Because at least as of right now, I can't think of a reason why they would want to do that. So we're just going to have a general heading, and that's going to apply to all the headings in here. It won't do the markdown, but that's fine. We will add a heading, add tokens here. And then we probably want to do the same for the text. Close a bunch of these. Okay. Yeah, because right now this is just a P. Just kind of awkward. I wonder if we can do just a text component. I don't know if this is going to work, but okay. I went through that effort. Don't actually want to run that right now. We'll leave this one alone, and we'll go into our example, yarn workspace, personal develop. So we also want to do text for that piece. Some of these are also text. So actually I should probably put this in a text component. And do we have any other text on here? The tags is going to show up real funny. So we really probably should be doing a map on here. Map tag. And we want to put each one of those tags into text. let's make sure that I can do the dangerously center on. Nope, I can't. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, on the text, we want to text. Where's my text component? Text. We want to pass all the props down. Except we're doing it that way. So I think what we're just going to do is say dangerously. Let's just copy that. I mean, I don't really want to. I don't want to spread those. I guess I'm just going to do this. Okay, we're just gonna do this. I don't know that I'm gonna actually spread any of the other props down on this, so we'll just do it like this for now. And this is getting really long. Thank you, prettier. Okay. So that should give us those back. There we go. So now what we can do here is we will have an XSX prop with a variant that has a text, and then we can apply that to any pieces of text. And technically we will have articles covered. Some of the other ones that are marked down are going to get a little bit more sticky, so we may want to just deal with that later. Text, link, text. Okay. And heading. Just making sure that we got all of our text. So that's got a variant, that's got a variant, that has a variant. Articles is here, and every heading and text has one of them. So should be set. Now it's saying here in articles section, that's annoying. It's kind of a different piece, but what branch am I in? Oh shoot, I'm a master. Okay. Get pull Yep, it doesn't like that. Yeah, that's annoying. It's fine. We'll just merge in later. So if we do git checkout dash b, we are going to add heading as heading variants, I guess I will say. Heading variants. Okay, so now I always forget to branch. It's a pain in the butt, especially once you get deep into something and you realize that you've just been working master the whole time. Which is also why I tend to protect my master branch, because I goof up sometimes. So we've got those in there. We should be able to test just to make sure that it's working as expected. And this will be in the README. So we added the heading, and then we can also say we added a text. Add tokens here. So we should be able to just copy this right into our example. And confirm. So I'll go ahead and put it right here. It feels like a good spot. Articles. So if we say text, I think it's just color equals red. And for headings, we're going to say color is orange. Hopefully those are obvious. There we go. So this should allow us to change some of the text properties. Can we change that underline? Because that is the piece that I'm curious about. Because it's not necessarily just the text that we want to change colors, but we also want to change the underlines, which is inherited from the link. So we are going to add a link property as well. Link. Copy this. Put this on the link. Articles link. I have to imagine that we probably don't want to do this too much, because it will probably be painful to maintain. And this is a lot of work on the components. Hopefully this doesn't backfire on us. But it's kind of hard to determine performance requirements or expected performance prior to actually testing it. So I think that's all of our links. Actually, we do have a link here. And a link here. Okay, so this should allow us to change the underline. And we'll add it into this section. Paste. And we will say color equals, does salmon work? What other colors should we use? Let's do blue would be default. We'll do green. I think that'll be a little bit different than our neon green, enough that we can tell. Of course not. I think it's the color. It does say color. Even though, ironically, it's being here. Yeah. So there's color. And we're setting the primary color. We might not be passing down those props. So let's take a look at our link component. Link. We are not. So we also want to grab the SX and we want to merge in the SX props here. Except we're already using the variant there. I wonder if that's going to start clashing with. This would be overwriting our variant there, and we can only use one variant. Do we do that on the other ones too? Yeah, we do. That's not great. So this text thing may not work. So the issue is that we are setting a we're setting the SX prop here. We are passing it down to the text component. The text component takes in that SX prop here and spreads it into this SX prop, which is what is actually picked up by the theme UI stuff. Now, since it's doing a spread, if we use the same property attribute, it will override if they're the same. So we have a variant here, and we're setting a variant on the SX that's coming in here. So if they don't supply any styling there, I don't think this variant is ever going to come into play. Which is probably why this text is small and slightly different than this. So that's unfortunate. Because it's always going to overwrite that. But since variant is a special prop, we will say if, I mean, it's always going to be a string. Yeah, we're just not going to be able to rely on those. And it was nice because we can do it based off of the defined type in there. Well, I guess we're just going to remove these because they're never going to theoretically work. And then we will just text link. I mean, it's only if you define a variant, so I suppose I can leave that in there as a default. But in our case, we will theoretically never use that. So if we wanted to get the same styling, we will need to do, so like it's a span right now, so color text. So we would need to bring this in. And link, do we do anything for an A link? Yep, we do. Okay. So it's not the worst. So it should work. The downside is it's going to get funny for the professional engagements. Because that's actually in Markdown. And we're not going to deal with components right now. So it'll work well enough, and we will continue working on this. So let's finish off a couple of these engagements, and then I think we're probably going to be calling it a day. And let's remove the color stuff. We'll be calling it a day, and publishing our package. Okay. Text. So we don't have super crazy colors in here. Our link, though, should be color primary. There we go. Okay. So we need to do the same for the engagements. So we're going to go ahead and copy this variant and modify it. So this should be a home page. I believe this is the engagement section. And we will now have all of these. And the about section is going to have the same. And our landing page right now is strictly Markdown, so we're just going to leave that one alone. So our object is Gatsby theme .homepage .engagements whichever one of those. So it's the same as that, actually, except heading. This sucks. And text. So heading and text. And render stuff. So see here, the MDX renderer expects a scope prop and a component prop, and the component prop will allow you to pass in components that it will use instead of the just using the plain HTML tags, which technically I think they are React components that MDX brings in, but you can say for any headings, use this React component instead of the default one. So we may want to do that because then that way we can pass in a variant and use like our heading component in the markdown. But getting that from the user is more involved because these variants only work on SX props. So we may need to think about it. We might be able to make it work, but we will see. We'll think about it a little bit. That might be worth a whole stream in itself, experimenting with that. Make sure we've got all our other text here. Box, heading, text. Let's update this with engagements about. Maybe we'll go here. I don't like though that it will always override it if I'm putting in a variant. I'm basically going to be putting a variant on every one of these. I wish you could do like multiple variants almost and merge them together. All right. So that should have this section updated. Looks fine. This is all in Markdown, so we can do the site links on the side. And it's here. So this uses. Oop, wrong thing that we had in our clipboard. So this is in the About section, and it is the text. And we will also do the same for the link. About and link. So we don't, oh yeah, we do have heading, okay. Content. And heading. Okay. So it goes back to the default stuff, and double check our README has those in there. So update our styles to then refer to that. Okay. So we have a little bit of weird padding going on here, because those don't line up. I think we, I see. Yeah. So that H2, so this is something that, a reason that we would want to pass in components for the markdown, because we might want to actually tweak some of that. So here it's expecting, it's an H2. So what we could potentially do is this is an H3. I mean, what I could potentially do is just in this case, I can call that, do the same margin on that one. That's probably the easiest in this case. So this, our H2 has a margin of, does it show up in here? H, So that's default kind of stuff, which probably comes mostly from in here. Well, I think we're just going to leave that for now. So I think we've got all of our text components in there. So this should be enough that we can modify those last bits with our last bits of text on our on my personal site. So I think that's going to be sufficient for now, and I think that will be it for that we needed for the launch. I think I'm just going to commit this whole thing and say add heading text link design tokens. Push that out, and then do a couple merges, and I think that will be our launch. So this is using Lerna, which is a package that helps us manage the monorepo, and that can do the publishing for us. So we actually will do a publish from the master branch, and it'll do all the git tags for us and such. That's fine. I think as we go, a changelog and descriptions will be more important, but this is sort of not technically launched yet, so I've been not very vigilant in filling in descriptions and such. For better or worse, I guess. Yep, I think that's about it for our to-do list. So I think what we are going to do is get 750. We'll need to update this, which will allow us to change those pieces. And I think that's about it that we need here. So that's really not going to be a change that I need to do. I guess what I can do is I can copy over those tokens, and we will apply separate colors for those. So we don't have anything working there. So what we will do is we're going to copy do we have a section already? We do. Okay, so for articles, I want to copy this. And so this is going to be the default. So for the links, we actually want to do secondary, I'm guessing. And then that will be the same for the about container. And I don't have that extrapolated out yet. So the about container will be this. We will make this secondary. And so what I did in this example was I used these pieces in multiple spots. So it's kind of nice to just put it in its own variable up top that we can edit it in one spot and then just apply it in multiple places. Like here, for instance. so that the heading text standards can be set for all of these letter spaces. We'll replace all of these. So many heading levels. Okay. Good. Now, body standard. And then I think this will cover us for preparation of when it updates. Body. And body. Okay. Alright. So that passed. Okay. I think we're ready for the moment of truth. Well, let's go ahead and get these little updates done, or committed rather. So use new text design tokens. Yes, stage. Okay. Now we will go here and we're going to check out master. And we're going to pull. And that'll give us all the updated stuff. And we are going to do a yarn learner publish. So what it's going to do is Learna is going to walk through and ask us what versions we want to set things at. So there are packages that let you have this piece done automatically, assuming you follow certain standards in your PRs. But we don't have that right now. It's something that I'd like to add though. So here it's saying we're going to update the personal, which is the example, to a minor. And I think we're just going to make everything a 1.0 minor. So articles and everything should have an update. Everything should be on the new minor, which is what we want. And that's our launch. Let it run through all this jazz. And we're published. Woohoo! I was just looking at my lighting. Apparently I need to work on that a little bit. Okay, so we will find out if it actually shows up here yet. It does. I don't know why this screen gets so funky. I think it's something to do with the bash. I'm using the git bash, and it doesn't seem to work great on Windows. I did install a package that does this stuff here, And that's a Rust package called Starship, I believe. See, I saw it show up there. Starship. Yep. Seems to be pretty nice. There's a couple things that I'd like to. This autocomplete looks nice. I would like to get that working, but I haven't bothered yet. So, if you're on Windows and used to ugly terminals, like I am, that might be worth looking at. I kind of rather enjoy it using it. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. Sure. So we should have the updated packages, and we should have the colors set here. So if everything worked properly, and we didn't goof anything up on the way to this point, we should have. Bloody hell. So we need to add in the engagements. Oh, let's pull this over here. Snap. We need to put in the order, which we did not actually put on here yet. So what I'm going to do is I want it to be the same order as on my personal site. We're just going to put it on my other monitor here so I can look at it on the side. So I would like to have this one be so the way I have this organized, for me personally, is I'd kind of have done them in chronological order. So these are just sort of highlights, I guess, something you might see on a resume. We'll do this one next. And this one. Oh, interesting. Apparently I didn't put titles on any of these other ones. And last but not least, this one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this should be number 7. Okay. So I should have ordered it, and we've got the top justified now, which is nice. It looks real weird with it not being a link. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that one a link too. Oh, nope, that's not a link. Mitchell Street Market. So at least they're consistent, because I mean it does actually have a link. It's just also I had it originally just in the picture. I'm not sure why anytime you change MDX, I get that error. It's kind of unfortunate, but that looks really weird. That's unfortunate that I've got so much text there. I might end up just switching those around a little bit, but yeah, no matter what I'm gonna do, this is a tall one. Oh well. And so we've also put in the actually I don't know if we can modify these professional engagements, the order of them. So that might be something that we want to consider later. So you can see that it is a different color, and you can see the underlines now. I think I'm gonna not use this secondary though, because that is pretty light. Let's go to dark mode. Secondary there is not bad. I think what I'm going to do though is maybe use a different color. Okay. So I think I'm going to switch to the muted. I feel like that's probably better. And I'd like to change the color of the text because this is dark. So I think what I'm probably going to do is say color. I'm just going to use it directly. In dark mode, our text is this. So I think I'm just going to use that directly. Feels ugly, but I wanted to apply to both. And see here, so this is our issue. We don't have any of the markdown set, so it's only going to apply to the articles, which for right now is probably fine. I feel like that's kind of small text. So we're going to have to deal with markdown somehow. That will likely be in a future version, because I think it's something that we need to address. So we'll play around with that for right now, or for next time, or a future stream. But we have launched our theme, and it contains this homepage. This is my personal site that I've started converting over. We've got a few things that we have left to tweak, and the articles look pretty decent too. Yep. So I think I'm happy with where this is at. I might eventually want to add pictures here, but that will likely be something that we can toggle on and off. And from there, I will need to add Prism onto my personal site to render the code blocks with something that's more of a pretty print kind of thing. But otherwise, I think we've got everything. I think we've pretty much covered everything. All right. Well, thanks for showing up, and I hope you learned something today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at the links here. Reach out on Twitter or shoot me an email, whatever. And next time I stream, I will probably get better at having a scheduled stream, but for right now, it's just sort of been whenever I have something that's worthwhile to stream. So I look forward to seeing you next time. You have a good Monday and Happy New Year. Early.